Hey everybody, welcome to the Rugger. My name is Nate. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Irish rugby this weekend. How's it going so far? This kind of thing is pretty regular at this point for Ireland and the All Internationals. It was the same story last year. Lost against New Zealand as the opener and slowly but surely built our way into the month of November. Game in Chicago was unfortunate. You had not a great pitch. We could pick a lot of excuses. Lions hangover, the red card for Tyburn. But at the end of the day, New Zealand won, and that's why they're ranked higher. That's why they're one of the best teams in the world. So we kind of shook that off a bit last week against Japan. Still seems like people aren't that convinced. It was a game of two halves for sure. The first half, Ireland seemed to be toe-to-toe against Japan. Japan seemed to be the much more interesting and exciting team, and the lineout just kept failing us. So if you look at statistics, there were 7 Irish lineouts, and they only won 4 of them in that first half, whereas Japan had 8, and they got every single one. So it's kind of bonkers when you consider Japan is a very respectable but still a tier 2 rugby team. So it seems that the lineout is under a lot of scrutiny at the moment. Paul O'Connell is under a lot of scrutiny. Is it him? Is it the players? I don't know, but that's the hot word this week across all the pundit channels. Line out, line out, line out. So hopefully we'll see an improvement on that tomorrow against Australia. Now, in the second half of that game against Japan last week, Gus McCarthy came on as the hooker and immediately cleaned it up. So there's still hope there, but it just seems to be that hot button. So let's hope Ireland sort it out. So yeah, we've had 2 games. One of them was a disappointment. The second one, first half was a disappointment, and then they slowly grew into it. To be fair, last week's squad was definitely not our best first 15, but that's good. I want to be encouraging this type of rotation. So it's one of those transitional moments, I suppose, for Irish rugby, where people are really clamoring to change it up, give new players new chances. And I think Andy Farrell is hearing that, but he's still thinking, let's get through this last window here and make sure we're in a good position for the rankings. Because remember, at the start of December this year, the seeds for the World Cup in 2027 are going to be decided. So the higher your team is ranked, the better chance you have of being in a group that you'd be top dog in. So at the moment, Ireland is ranked number 3. So the next couple of games, pretty important to keep that rank, or dare we say even go up a bit higher, but we'll see. So the Australia lineup, this is the squad, and apologies, this blackboard does not look fantastic. It just seems to be, I don't know, rejecting my chalk. I have to have a look at it. But the squad has been released. So we've got very interesting choice for our loose head prop is Paddy McCarthy, Joe McCarthy's brother. So it's really good to see a prop get a chance, a start, I suppose, against a side like Australia. So be looking forward to seeing how he gets on. He seems to have been doing very well in the All Internationals. Scored a peach of a try last week against Japan. So delighted for him. And we seem to be having a couple of brother combinations. So we have Sam Prendergast and Keane Prendergast, they're brothers. Now Joe McCarthy isn't playing, but it's cool to see that we've got these brother combos going on. It's still a far cry from the All Blacks. They've got 3 brothers, but we're getting there. Then we've got Dan Sheehan as hooker. That's safe as houses. Ty Furlong, the same. So that's a really nice front row. And we've got James Ryan and Ty Byrne for our locks. Again, pretty conservative choice. And then we have Ryan Bird, Jack Conan, and then we have Caelan Doris. Now he's number 7. Apparently Josh Van der Fleur has a hamstring or something, so he's not able to play 7 this week. And it just goes to show how much that guy actually plays for Ireland. It's unthinkable that anyone else would be in this position because he's such a workhorse. He never comes off. No one ever comes off the bench to relieve him. He's just that durable. So it's nice to give him a break and just say, take it easy, because he has really put in a hell of a shift for his career for Ireland the last few years. So now Caelan Doris, who normally doesn't play 7, is in that position. Now he is such a talented rugby player and an all-rounder. You think he'll answer that call. So it's not a million miles away from his usual position at 8 in the middle, but it'd just be interesting to see how that looks with him at 7. So that is our front pack. Now in the backs, we've got James Gibson-Park and Sam Prendergast. So that's a Leinster combo for our fly half and scrum half. And then we have probably my favorite rugby player of the season so far. It's got to be Stuart McCloskey. He's going to be our inside centre, and Robbie Henshaw as our outside centre. So Stuart McCloskey, he did have an injury, so he couldn't play last week, but he had a great game against the All Blacks back in Chicago. So it's great to see that the centres are loosening up a bit. There's been a lot of talk that we don't have good depth in those positions. I think we do. We just don't give those guys a chance, because normally, if you look at the last few years, it's always been Gary Ringrose and Bundy Aki. That just seemed to be our go-to for the centres. Sometimes Robbie Henshaw in the mix, but really those three seem to just own that area of the field. So it's great to see just mixing up a bit more with Stuart McCloskey. I do hope that he gets more opportunities on the team, because he is a really good player. Okay, so those are our centres, and then we have James Lowe, left winger, Tommy O'Brien, right winger, who had a great game last week against Japan, got player of the match. He's really looking like he belongs on this team. It's like, where has he been the last couple of years? I think he's just very injury prone, but you can just see he looks really comfortable out there, like he was always destined for an Irish shirt or something. I don't think, he's going to be leaving this team anytime soon. He's just got really good form, really good legs, just real pace. So delighted it's working out for him. And then let's say this is the most interesting pick of the whole bunch, is Mack Hansen. Mack is back, so he's back from injury. We thought he was ruled out, and now he is the fullback. So it's like we have this vulnerability at fullback because Hugo Keenan is out long term, and now Jamie Osborne is out because of a shoulder injury that looked really nasty when he came off the game last week against Japan. So now we have Mack Hansen at fullback. Some people were saying Jacob Stockdale, we put him in. I think it's the right choice, because Mack Hansen, he just seems to be a bit of a playmaker, doesn't he? He just seems to just create chaos out of nowhere. Really good instinct for the high balls. So I think it's actually a really good opportunity for him. Be great to just develop that depth a bit more at fullback. So I'll be looking forward to seeing how he does. Replacement-wise, we've got Kelleher and Porter and Clarkson for the front row. Really good to see, even for a high-profile game like Australia, Andrew Porter is actually getting a break for once, because he is another player that has never left that position in living memory. It just seems that it's always been in the past. Before Cian Healy retired, it was Andrew Porter, Cian Healy, Andrew Porter, Cian Healy. Because he has just got this real engine room going on, he just seems to never get tired. So it's good to say, take a breather, Andrew, let someone else do it. And he'd be just great to come off the bench. He'd just be fired up. So then we have Nick Timoney, and then Cian Prendergast as well on the bench. Be looking forward to seeing what they do. They're also not picked that much, so it's good to see these guys getting a chance. And then we've got a monster halfback combo. We've got Craig Casey and Jack Crowley on the bench, and then we have Bundy Aki on the bench as well. So it's good to see that they're not ignoring this chance to kind of see how the combos do. We've got a Leinster combo coming on the 15, and then as backup in the second half, we're going to have a Munster combo for the halfbacks. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I suppose the debate with Sam Prendergast and Jack Crowley is never ending, of course, but I think they have planned this, that each guy would get a certain amount of time, especially last week when they were playing Japan. It was just like after the 50th minute, it was like a switch. It was like, okay, boom, put Sam on. So Sam didn't have a great game against New Zealand in Chicago. I have trouble really remembering him doing anything, I'm afraid. But when he came on last week against Japan, just changed the whole trajectory of that game. Now, you could argue that Japan, they play a really fast game, very, very, very energetic game, really, really quick line speed. So you can't do that forever. So they were probably tiring by the last half hour, 20 minutes. You could see they were just getting a bit knackered. But I don't think we should discredit Sam, because he really seemed to just fire up the team, get the blood flowing in their veins again, and really just throw them around into the pitch, directing them. So I thought it was really good game management, really brought the game to life. So yeah, be interested to see how he does now that he's in the starting 15, because Australia, they're a very big pack. So Sam is really just going to have to, you get the feeling that Australia at this stage, they just seem like they're getting a bit knackered themselves. They've had a really long season. really beat up during that Lions tour. Then they had the Rugby Championship, Southern Hemisphere version of the Six Nations. And now they're coming over here doing these internationals. It's just such a weird one to kind of call, because on one side, they really put it up to the Lions in the second test of the three, and then owned the third test. They beat South Africa in South Africa during the Rugby Championship. So you really thought something magical was happening here. Joe Schmidt had kind of turned the screw and was really turning this team into a powerhouse. But ever since then, just the autumn internationals, they just seem to be off form. And I think the World Rugby is much better with the competitive Australian side. So I'm hoping tomorrow that it's competitive. It's going to be good. Aussies are good crack. We always love when they come visit. There's a bunch of Irish that live over in Australia, so you can imagine that the Irish pubs are going to be packed in Sydney, Melbourne, for this kind of game. So I just hope it's a close one, that's not a blowout on either side. So yeah, we'll see. Interesting history here. Australia have not beaten Ireland since 2018. So that is a big gap of time. Very surprising, but it's always been close. So out of the last 5 games, Ireland have won 4. Now, there was a very big gap between the 2018 one and the next one. I think it was 2022. So, or maybe it's 2021. But there was a few years of a gap in between there, I think, because of COVID. But they're always very close scores. So, just reading off the scores here, it was like 22-19, 13-10, 2016, 26-21 over the last few games. It just seemed like, especially when they come to Dublin, they're really front up. It's always a real squeaker. On the Australian team, some good players on here. Will Skelton is missing, which is a big blow. It's just unfortunate because he's a real beast to see in action. But you got some great players. You got Jorgensen, Swahili, Ikita was in a press conference there in Dublin. Gave a really good press conference. Great to see him back. Harry Potter, Angus Bell, who now plays for Ulster. He's going to be on the team. Alan Alatoa, who's probably my favourite Australian player. He's just always just really good to watch. Just really exciting player. You got Tom Hooper, Rob Valentini, also one of their best players. They call him Bobby V. Harry Wilson's going to be the captain. And we've got Andrew Kellaway on the bench, who I think is also good. Weather-wise, it's going to be 11 degrees, roughly, and probably a bit rainy. Just going to hazard a guess there. But it's on later in the day. It's going to be very rainy during the day, but hopefully it'll clear up a bit in the evening, because this is a late game. This is Saturday Night Lights. It's on 8:20 p.m. So hopefully we're going to get, but the pitch is still going to be wet. It could be one of those difficult, tight games just because the weather is so bad. It'll be a sloppy ball, a wet ball, like a bar of soap. So we'll see. The ref is Carl Dixon. Kind of hit and miss with Ireland. Don't have any stand-up moments where he's done something terrible that you'd be really kind of offended by, but he can be really tricky. I think he's kind of 50-50 really. Then you got Ian Tempest for the TMO. So we all know that he's under severe pressure. I'm actually surprised he's TMO for another Irish game this autumn because of the controversy over that red card against Tadhg, but that's who it is. And in terms of rankings, just to give it into context, there's no way really for Ireland to take any points off Australia the way the rankings are right now. So Ireland are not ranked 3rd in the world. Australia is much further down the list. And the way it is, if you play home, it's kind of confusing, but if you play home, you add 3 points on to your original ranking. So it's just harder for you to gain points if there's a lower team playing you. So there won't be any opportunity to take points. So if Ireland lose, it'd be a bit of a catastrophe. They'd probably fall down to at least 4th. England would climb up above. Now, the point is to stay in the top 6 by the end of the month, which seems very possible, but you never know. Australia could pull something out of the bag, so we'll just have to wait and see. Other games tomorrow, you've got Italy against South Africa. That's the first game in the afternoon. These early games, I don't know. I mean, the Japan one last week was quite early. I think it was 12:20 kickoff, and you just felt like the crowd were still waking up. The players were still waking up. I was still waking up. It just seemed that the stadium wasn't even full by kickoff. So that's always a tricky time. But Italy are playing South Africa. Italy are on a real high after beating, who did they beat last week? Was it Australia? Who did they beat? Who was it again? I think it was. Yeah, it was Australia. Um, so yeah, that Australia are going to be fuming about that. But Italy, they're going to be, riding high. It's still South Africa. They're the team to beat. And after watching them play France last week, you just think nothing's going to stop them. So I just hope it's not a blowout. But yeah, we'll see. Then you got England against New Zealand. That is on at 3:10 p.m. So I feel like it's England's turn to win this fixture. I think they came very close when they went down to New Zealand during the summer and were just a little bit unlucky. But they're really coming along. They're kind of like a dark horse. They're kind of the guy in the corner that no one's looking at when a fight breaks out. England are definitely building, and New Zealand have got to be getting tired. It's the end of their season, so I think this could be one of the best games of the week, if not the best. I think it could be really close. So yeah, be looking forward to be watching that one. Wales against Japan on at 5:40 p.m. Not really invested in that one, but I think it will be tight because both teams are very closely ranked in the same place right now. France versus Fiji, that's on the same time as the Irish game, so no hope of watching that. But I think France will be rampant over Fiji because of the fallout of losing to South Africa, even though South Africa were a man down for a whole half of rugby. It's just incredible. If you haven't seen that game, do give it a watch. It was a statement win from the South Africans. You have to say emphatic is the word, because France are definitely one of the best teams in the world. Now, in their defense, they were rusty, but still, and they're out without DuPont, which is like a whole, block of chance removed. But still, you would think with the depth that they have, the talent that they have, it would have been a bit more close with a red card for the other team. So, and then that's Saturday's game, and then Sunday, Scotland are playing Argentina. That'll be at 3:10 p.m. That will be an interesting one because you can definitely predict Scotland are going to be still seething over the really close loss against New Zealand last week. Just feel like that was the closest they came to beating them in living memory. It was really just bad luck. I was roaring for Scotland, but New Zealand just pulled it out of the bag in the last 10 minutes like they do in 90% of their games. So they're going to be playing Argentina. They're really closely ranked, so that could be a really good matchup. So yeah, that's going to be this weekend of rugby. I hope you enjoyed. Special mention, now I know this is a rugby channel, but I do have to say congratulations to the Irish football team who beat Portugal last night 2-0 in what was a real chaotic, really entertaining game. I'm normally allergic to football, but even I was just into it and shouting for the last 10 minutes. It was just great. So they're still in it. So you're looking at a real super slam of a weekend for Irish sport, because you got Ireland playing the rugby tomorrow, and then you got Ireland football team playing Hungary on Sunday, which is a crucial game to get into the playoffs for the World Cup. So we wish the lads the best of luck. It was just a great result, what was really needed for Irish football for a good while. So yeah, that is a roundup of what's coming this weekend. I hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe and enjoy your rugby. Thanks. Bye.